What's up, internet and post-production citizens? Everyone loves text, words, we write them, we read them. I'm Nick Sanders and this is Video Deconstructed. This tutorial will give you 5 ways to get your text to be more legible. Or as they say, make it pop. Okay, first tip. Super obvious, but that's where we're going to start out with. Text pop tip number 1. Change the video under your text. If you are able to change the video clip under your text, you could solve your problem real quick. If you have a script in front of you and it says that certain text needs to be over the shot of a beautiful lake, try a few different shots if you have them. Text pop tip number 2. Change the text placement, font color, or the font. Let's say you have to go with this lake shot. Well, clouds are a problem with the text at the top, so you could try the bottom. But although it's readable, the client doesn't like the shimmering water behind the text. So maybe you leave it at the top, but change the color to black. Big help. If you have to keep the font a certain color, maybe you can change the font. This is not always an option, but depending on your situation, it could be a super quick solve. You get a completely different look with this bold font, and that might not be okay, but if it is, it could fix the issue. In this case, it still doesn't look good. If you move it to the bottom, much better in this case. So for the next tip, let's assume you can't change any of the video and the font type and color is chosen by the client or the creative director. What can you do? Add a drop shadow, glow, stroke, border, background around the text. This is another option. If you have white text, as is the case in this example, anything that is dark behind it can help its legibility. Or vice versa if you have black text. Okay, hold on. It's 2020 and a few years ago the design gods decided that drop shadows and glows were not cool. So let's just say it depends on what you are working on and how you apply the effect. But if you dare go this route, here is how you would add these effects. So to add a drop shadow, glow, stroke, or border, background, all of those things you can find in the same place. So I have this white text on this city background, and if I play the clip, it's not that easy to read the text. So once you select the text, you can hit Shift 5. If you're in the default editing workspace, you should find Effects Control Panel right here. It's also under Window, Effects Controls, Shift F5. And I'm going to twirl this up so you can see what's going on. We have a graphics section and a video section. You want to be under the graphics section in the text area. When I twirl that down, you've got your font and you can change the size here, but right here under appearance, the fill, that's the color of your text. So right now I could click on that, and if I change it to make it a bright red, and you can see over here it changes the color of the text. But if you want to add, let's say, I'll just go in order, we've got a stroke. If you click on this, you can see it adds a black stroke or border around the edge of the text, and right here is where you can increase that to whatever size you want. You can also click here and add a stroke to this layer. So now I've got a secondary stroke on top of the black one, and you could change that color to get that kind of effect. Then you've got background. This is what you see all the time on Instagram type videos. And of course you can make that whatever color you want. Right down here below is the opacity of that and the size of it. And then your drop shadow here. And if I turn up the opacity on that, you can kind of see a little bit better. This is going to be the spread of that, and then how blurry or solid it is. And if you want to glow, and the easiest way to show an example of that is if I change my fill to black and change my drop shadow either to white or to like a bright yellow. If you just take the distance here and take it to 0, and then play around with how you want that kind of glow effect to look, you can kind of go a lot of different directions with that. Okay, this next tip allows you to keep the font type and color and the video. Darken the footage behind the text. You can do this with a piece of generated black video. Let's say we have to place the text at the bottom and it has to be on this clip and it has to be this skinny font. You can see that the shiny reflective floor is going to give us some issues. So go to your project panel and right click, create black video. Think of this as a video clip that is nothing but black, and the video clip can go on forever and ever. Or think of it as a black JPEG or a photo of the devil's soul or the inside of a black hole. It's just black. Make sure you have a video track between your text and your background video and drag your black video in between. So with your black video selected, go to the Effects Control panel. The shortcut is Shift 5. And if you are in the default editing workspace like I am, you should find the panel right here. Now what you want to do is over here in the program view, your zoom level is probably set to fit like mine is, and try setting it to 50%. You want it to look basically like this. You want to have a little bit of gray area around the edges. And what we're going to do is put a mask around the black so that it's only behind executive class text. So go back over to your effects control panel, and under opacity, if you twirl that down, you've got your mask tools here. We're going to get the free draw Bezier pen tool, and as soon as I click on that, we've got a mask created, but we need to draw in the path of that mask. And what I'm going to do is start way out here in the gray area because I want to have a lot of room to turn the feathering up quite a bit. So I'm going to click here, that starts the mask, and then I should have zoomed out a little further. You're going to see I'll probably have to adjust it a little bit. And we're going to draw this square around here. As soon as I click on this original point, the mask is completed and all of the black above here goes away, and we have a feather set, but if you go over here you can see it's set to only to 10, and I'm going to turn that up. Once you hover over the mask, as long as it's still selected like this in blue, you get this grabber hand tool and you can click and drag it around. So I'm actually going to pull it down a little bit, and then over here where the opacity is at 100%. I'm going to turn off the stopwatch because I don't want to set any keyframes. I'm going to turn that off and then pull this down to 0 and then kind of turn it up a little bit. And you basically play around with it every shot. You'll have to kind of see what looks best. And now I'm going to go back and play this clip here, just kind of see what it looks like. Maybe set my zoom level back to fit. So that's already looking a lot better. If I were to turn off the black video and just kind of pop it on and off, you can already see it definitely makes a big difference. And then it's just up to you or the client to turn it up as much as you need to. So, or I could even move, if I want to readjust that mask, I'm gonna select that black video down here in the timeline and go back up to my effects control. And if you click on the mask, as soon as I click on that once, the mask shows up again. So I can move it around, and maybe I wanted to drag it taller. So I'm gonna go back to my zoom level here, and this time I'll go to 25%. And if I wanted to move this mask around and, for example, drag these points down, I can, with the whole mask selected, if I'm down here in the empty gray, I go back to a pointer, just a regular mouse pointer, and I can click and drag a box around the points that I want to move. And now when I let go, I can go to either one of these points, and if I get it right there in the middle, I can click and drag it and make it taller, like that. And then I'm going to go back to the fit, and I can still click and drag this and kind of get an idea of where I think it's going to work best. Maybe I want it a lot darker. I can push it up here and then just click over here in the effects control panel in the gray area. That'll deselect the mask so you don't have to look at the blue lines. And so there you go. And for my last tip, blur the background video. Depending on the shot, you might just blur the entire video and be done. But let's use this shot of a cheetah, and we don't want to blur the entire video. The steps you take are very similar to what I just showed you with adding the black video. But instead of creating the black video, we are going to select the video clip that you want to partially blur, go to the Effects panel, Shift 7 is the shortcut, and if you are in the default editing workspace, you will find the panel right here. Go to the video effects Blur and Sharpen folder and drag Gaussian Blur onto your video. With the sequence window active and the clip selected, go to the Effects Control panel with the shortcut Shift 5. Turn the blurriness up until your text looks good. Don't overdo it. Things might get yucky. Now, just like with the black video trick, we are going to put a mask on the blur effect. So again, you want to go over to your program window here and set your zoom level to something. This time I'm going to go to 25% since last time I felt like it wasn't quite small enough. And now to draw the mask, you go back over to your effects control panel. We're masking the blur. We're going to click on this free draw Bezier pen tool. The mask has been created, but we need to draw it. I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm going to click over here in the gray, far away from our video. This time I'm going to be able to click a lot lower. When I click here, that finishes it. That was not very straight. There we go. And it doesn't need to be super straight for this effect because it's going to be blurry, and we're going to turn this feather up. We're going to go over to the Gaussian blur where the mask is and turn that feather up quite a bit. And then we can't see what's going on. We need to set our zoom level back to fit, and I'm just going to go and click in the effects control window in the gray, and you can see that our text is definitely a lot easier to read there. Not only that, it helps focus our eye on the cheetah. You can get an idea of what it looks like with the mask off if you go over to your effects control panel where it says Gaussian blur. This button right here will toggle the effect off. So now you can play it with it off, and then I click it on, and you can see how it helps give that text a little better readability. Thanks for being a good citizen here at Video Deconstructed. I'm Nick Sanders. Looking for things to click on? We've got subscribe, bells, thumbs up, thumbs down. Tell me how you're spending your pandemic lockdown in the comments.